Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours in the morning into your edge and financial freedom. Today, I've got two headlines. Both of them are going to touch on Circle. We saw some big news coming out of Circle last night after the market closed. So we'll be touching on that, and then we'll get to your alt request or other TA requests. If you have anything you'd like me to take a look at, go ahead, throw it in the chat now, and we'll get to it after we get to the news. First off, let's get you prepped for some success today. With that stock heat map, I got it pulled up like always. Give me just a second to switch on over to that screen. All right, we are seeing a very flat pre-market this morning. We did get a nice little green day yesterday on some of the big seven, looking a little red on some of those more of those volatile assets though. We've got Apple looking quite flat this morning after a 2.03% close towards the upside. Looking quite flat this morning though, up 0.04%. We've got Nvidia up 0.15 off of its close. Looking to the downside this morning though, down 0.72. We've got Berkshire Hathaway looking quite flat this morning, up 0.02 and up 0.07 this morning. We've got Amazon sitting down quite nicely, down 1.75. Might be time to take a little look at Amazon because they got Prime Day coming up and they're normally sitting in the green through all of Prime Day. So next week, Amazon Prime Day is coming out. So might be a little move to make for next week. We've got Eli Lilly sitting up 0.53% and sitting down 0.12 this morning. ExxonMobil up down 1.44% and sitting down 0.05% this morning. Tesla also sitting quite down 1.84%, and this morning getting hit extremely hard, down 4.63% right now. P&G also sitting in the red from yesterday, down 0.34%. Looking towards the upside this morning, up 0.35%. We've got Microsoft sitting up 0.3%, looking quite neutral this morning, up 0.08%. We've got Google sitting down 0.49, and this morning in the pre-market continuing to see some selling pressure, down 0.38. We've got Meta closing in the green yesterday, up 0.61, continuing to see some light buying pressure this morning, up 0.12. Let's hop over to the crypto side of things because things are looking quite red over there. We did see Bitcoin sitting down 0.9%, rejected off of a level we were talking about last week. So we're definitely going to dive into that one on the Bitcoin chart here in a second. We've got Ethereum down 0.3%. We've got XRP up 0.9% right now. BNB sitting down 0.1%. Solana down 0.7%. We've got Tron sitting up 0.4%. We've got Dogecoin sitting down 2.4%. We've got Cardano down 0.4%. We've got Hyperliquid sitting down 2.2%, but looking a little green on that hourly. Bitcoin Cash continuing to see some upside, up 6.3%, looking a little red on the hourly. We've got SWI down 1.8%, Chainlink down 0.6. We've got Leo token down 0.9%. We've got Avalanche down 2.6. Stellar Lumens with no change on that daily. We've got TON sitting down 1.2. Shiba Inu down 2%. And Litecoin with no change on the daily. Let's hop over to those fear and greeds because we're quite cooled down from last week. Stock side sitting at 66 and greed still after a brief move up to almost that 75 range. Crypto side of things quite cooled down as well from that almost extreme greed we saw last week, sitting at 64 right now. We're quite similar to what we saw last week on that liquidation heat map, with liquidity on both sides of us. We've got that liquidity back at 108,800 there. And sitting to the downside, we've got a little bit of liquidity at 106,300. Let's zoom that on out. Take a look at that 3-day. See where a volatile move might send us. And as you can see, we've got a little bit of liquidity back at 109,500. And we're grabbing some liquidity to the downside right now. Zoom this on out just a little bit further. Take a look at what we might be looking at after we clear out some bottom side liquidity. We've got a little bit more of liquidity sitting directly to the bottom side of us at 106,200 there. And then we've got all of that liquidity that's starting to pile back up at that 108,800. Zoom that on out. Take a look at that 2-week. 2-week also looking quite similar with all of that liquidity back up at that 108,800. So we'll kind of have to see if we can make that move back up there after we grab some of that liquidity that was sitting to the bottom side. Let's hop back over to TradingView. Take a look at that economic calendar because we did have a little bit of data that will be coming out today. Let's scroll that on down. Here we go. At 10 o'clock Eastern time, we'll be getting ISM manufacturing. We'll be getting JOLTS jobs opening as well. Looking like a bit of an increase on that ISM manufacturing PMI from 48.5 to 48.8. Not anything too drastic to really push anything towards the upside there, but this JOLTS jobs opening, if it does come in as a decrease, does look quite nice for that labor market strength. Kind of the opposite of what you'd want to see for a rate cut though. So keep that in mind as we go into this morning's data. We do get a little bit more data coming out this evening. That'll be for that European, or not that European, that Asia trading time zone. We'll be getting some data coming out of Australia, some retail sales month over month, looking like an increase there. Might be that big market mover for the Asia trading time zone. The big one was this morning with a Bank of Japan speech. I'll touch on that one tomorrow though. We also get some more data coming out of that European Union this evening. That'll be some unemployment rates coming out of the European Union tomorrow morning. We will touch on that one when we get there. Let's hop over to that Bitcoin chart. Say good morning to the people because I got quite a few people in the chat this morning. We've got Jesse Gluck saying good morning. We've got Jay Violet saying good morning, everyone. Good evening to you, Jay Violet from Australia. We've got Crypto Coin Mindset in the chat. You're here extra early, sir. Don't normally see you here unless you got something going on early morning. He says, I need some coffee. Well, looks like I finished my cup. Otherwise, I would have cheered you. So, hope you're getting that coffee in. We've got, let's scroll it on down. New background. Nice, says Keith. Good morning to Sullied Mafia. He says, hey there, folks. Let's see, anyone else? Darren Does Things, late but Ayo fam. Good morning to you, Darren Does Things. Hope you're having a great day. All right, let's hop into this Bitcoin chart because we saw pretty much what we said we were looking for last week for some Bitcoin. We'll have to change this trend line to an actual trend line now. We did see this coming in as a potential resistance area. We saw all of the resistance bouncing off of it back here when we got up to that 111. We saw all of that resistance again at the golden pocket fib extension that we had talked about a few weeks ago. And then we saw all of that resistance coming in at that 108,200. We did talk about seeing a nice little sweep above that to grab some of that liquidity and watching for that resistance at 108,800. And that's right around where all of our liquidity is starting to stack up now. We're heading back down here on all of our indicators. We've got that MACD heading back down towards the downside. Let's move this over so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. We got that MACD heading back down towards the downside after a rejection off of that indicator line. We've got your prime oscillator also heading back down as money flow is starting to get some curvature back towards the downside, with the volume slowing down as well. Something to keep your eye on as we get into the rest of the week. Watching for that market being closed on Friday and seeing some sideways momentum on top of that $106,000 mark. We do have some liquidity that's sitting down there, so just watching for a little bit of sideways momentum, maybe a bit of a liquidity grab towards the downside there. Zoom this on in, take a look at that 1 hour, see what the day might be bringing our way here, and the day's looking a little bit down as well. We do have all of that liquidity that was residing right below us, so we might get that nice little brief push back up to try to test some of these higher levels here at about 107,500, where we saw all of this resistance back here. Might come back into play as some resistance all over again, waiting for that finishing of the liquidity grab towards the downside, where all of that kind of resides down here at $106,000. We do have that MACD sitting below our indicator line. We've got a few divergences that have stacked up. Our True 7 is clipping all over again for the third time, really waiting on that next reversal signal to flash here as your money flow continues to come out here on the hourly. So waiting to see if we can hold up this 106,000. If not, looking a little bit further down towards 104,700, where we saw this nice little constriction before we got that bounce back up above 106,000. Zoom this on in, take a look at the 15-minute and what the morning might be bringing our way. Seeing us remain below our zero line for the MACD, we're getting that nice break below our indicator line all over again as we continue to see this money flow coming on out and volume remaining low. Waiting on some more reversal signals to kind of flash after we finish grabbing this bottom side liquidity, and then waiting to see if we can get that push back up towards about that 107,500 mark. See if we can turn it into some support. You do have VWAP remaining above price action. We did get that nice little sweep above it before we continued on to the downside. All right, so this morning, just waiting for that finishing of the bottom side liquidity grab before we try to make up our mind about how high we're gonna go this morning. Let's see what we got here. Will be a beach day for me, says Jesse. Well, have fun at the beach there, sir. Let's see, but I'm not gonna get that hot sorted tomorrow. Last pump faked IO, so need to replace it tomorrow or Thursday evening. That's kind of what I'm waiting for. A little bit of a pump later in the week. Just waiting on that liquidity grab to the bottom. We do have all of that liquidity that's now residing to the top side, but I do think we see some sideways momentum for now. All right, we did have a few news articles to go over this morning, both of them being about Circle. Let's dive into this first one because stablecoin issuer Circle applies for national bank charter. This is some big news, especially considering what happened with the Genius Act. We did see that Genius Act telling people, heat pump on my hot tub, lol. Oh, Darren does things, getting a hot tub all set up there. Sounds quite nice. Maybe I needed to switch it up to, no, stupid autocorrect. There we go. Well, it wasn't my bad then. So I had to switch that to the live chat just to make sure though. All right. This Genius Act that we saw pass not that long ago kind of changed up the stablecoin market. And that's what that next article is going to be about. And this is why they're applying for a national bank charter, because some of the rules of the Genius Act changed up what they can offer as a stable coin. We'll dive into that one here in a second, but let's dive into this one. Stablecoin issuer Circle Internet Group has applied for a national trust bank charter, moving forward on its mission to bring stablecoins into the traditional finance world after the firm's big market debut this month, CNBC confirmed. Shares rose 1% after hours. If the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency grants the bank charter, Circle will establish the first national digital currency bank under the charter. Circle, which issues the USDC stablecoin, will also be able to offer custody services in the future to institutional clients for assets which could include representations of stocks and bonds on the blockchain network. Reuters first reported on Circle's bank charter's application. There are no plans to change the management of Circle's USDC reserves, which are currently held with other major banks. Circle moves come after a wildly successful IPO and a debut trading month on the public markets. Shares of the companies rose 484% in June. The company is also benefiting from a wave of optimism after the Senate's passage of the Genius Act, which will give the U.S. a regulatory framework for stablecoins. Establishing a national digital currency trust bank of this kind marks a significant milestone in our goal to build an internet financial system that is transparent, efficient, and accessible, Circle CEO Jeremy Allaire said in a statement shared with CNBC. By applying for our first national trust charter, Circle is taking proactive steps to further strengthen our USDC infrastructure. Further, we will align with the emerging U.S. regulation for the issuance and operation of the dollar-denominated payment stablecoin, which we believe can enhance the reach and resilience of the U.S. dollar and support development of crucial market-neutral infrastructure for the world's leading institutions to build on. Just making those moves to stay in regulation, in term with those new regulations from the Genius Act, which this article kind of touches on, trying to stay up front with everything. Let's see, Darren does things. Contentions theory. Circle USDC will become the CBDC. We might have to save that one for Hollow Line, because I think I'd get Piper Academy shadow banned. My thoughts on a CBDC is, what's the point if your fiat dollar is already essentially a CBDC? There's only about 5% of actual physical dollars in the system to all of the dollars that are in the system. So most of these dollars are actually digital to begin with. And why would you need a new framework for your CBDC when the fiat dollar already works quite great? We've got Dutchy, your only fan, in the chat. Good morning, Mark Dutch. I see you be changing your name quite a bit, so let's see. Better cherish that. I'm your only fan, Darren, says Dutch. Good morning to you. Let's see. Anything else in there? Nope. we'll hop into this next news article because new U.S. stablecoin reserve rules could upend crypto's biggest players. And we'll just scroll down to the reserves part of everything because that's what I wanted to touch on. And this is why you're seeing Circle apply for a national banking charter. The Genius Act introduces stringent yet precise guidelines for the issuance of payment stablecoins, digital tokens pegged to the US dollar and designed for real-time value transfer. To qualify under the act, stablecoins must be backed 1-to-1 by cash or cash equivalent reserves, such as short-term US treasuries. These reserves must be held in segregated accounts and audited monthly by independent firms. Issuers are prohibited from paying interest on balances. And this is that big part of why we're seeing Circle really apply for that banking charter, a move designed to avoid conflict with banking regulations. At its core, the Genius Act seeks to define and protect the utility of stablecoins as near cash instruments, not speculative assets, by enforcing strict proof of reserves and transparency requirements. The act aims to guard against systemic risk while inviting responsible innovation. And we'll just kind of have to follow this one as we get forward, because there's going to be a lot coming out. You might try to see what kind of other stablecoin issuers dip their toes into the water, because you already have several of these institutions offering a yield on their stablecoins. I know Circle kind of stopped that for now, and they're going to have to wait to see if we can get that approval of the banking charter to be able to legally offer a yield again. All right, let's hop back to the charts, take a look at Circle, and take a look at something I had dropped in the Discord. So if you guys aren't in the Discord, you're missing out. Darren does things saying Circle and Tether gonna be buyer of last reserves for Treasury, in my opinion. Who would have thought crypto would swoop in to save the dollar? And that's quite true. You know, that's a big part of why they're trying to push for stablecoin regulation here. And that's another thing that we've touched quite a bit on Hodl the Line. Oh, Crypto Coin Mindset says, "Oh sure, get hodl the line, Shadow Fan." Hey, I can't help it. You know, we have a little more freedom over there. You know, we say things that we really think on our minds, and we have a lot more fun with it. We might need to save that one for instead of hodl the line, save it for some crypto on the rocks. Then, if that's a little bit better, we can have way more fun on that one, and I'm sure people would love that. Buyer of last resort. Hey, you know, no one can really complain as more money's coming into the dollar, but I never really thought that it would be crypto that would hold up the dollar like this. But as we've seen, the US dollar kind of become the forefront of your stable coins, you're going to see that hold up more and more. And you're going to see the US government really kind of push that forward, because crypto has been helping the dollar quite nicely. I won't dive too much further into that, but let's take a look at this Circle chart here, because we are seeing some bullish divergences start to stack up here as we got to a level I had talked about last week, both on my show and in the Discord. So getting on down to that one line on our fib extension here, that was that 176.93. I did do a little buying as we got to that. For full transparency, I am waiting for some lower prices though. We do have that pre-market open a little bit towards the upside, but there's still the potential, as money flow continues to come out on our shorter term time frames, that we dip just a little bit lower. And one of those levels I was looking at was 163. That's that next area I will be doing some more buying at if we do get that low. If not, I'm just gonna buy it anyway. Let's hop over to that 1 hour chart, see what we're looking at there. 15-minute did have those bullish divergences that were stacked up, but this 1 hour still has a little bit more room to go towards the downside here, as your MACD does remain below our indicator line, and we are sitting below zero. We are getting some sideways momentum here, but your money flow is what I'm watching. Your money flow is still in the red, extremely in the red here. Zooming on out, there you go. Heavily red here, and getting some continued rollover. Your True 7 is staying in the red and getting that sideways momentum, and your volume is extremely low here. So waiting for that money flow to really come back in here to rescue price for Circle. You do have that prime oscillator sitting in the green here, but it is doing so with some sideways momentum. So to see our MACD line really touch on that indicator line all over again, continue a little bit more to the downside as we continue to stack up some of those bullish divergences on the short-term time frame would not be too unexpected. A lot of this pre-market movement towards the upside is off of that banking news that we talked about this morning. I will be fully bought in at that 163 mark for Circle. Let's hop over, pull this one up, because I dropped a whole breakdown of Circle last week before we even got to these levels. This was in the Discord, so if you're not in the Discord, you are missing out. We drop all of these analysis very early. We've got lots of traders in there to give you to TA as well. Let me get that link shared in the chat for you, so if you're not a part, you can get in that Discord there. I shared that both here on YouTube and on X. For anyone watching on X, you will need a YouTube membership though, so if you're watching on X, come over to YouTube, hit that join button, and for $5 a month you get a lot of information. All right, we did have a few alt requests, so let's see what we were looking at for alt requests this morning. Not going to take a look at Libra, Jesse. You already know how I feel about that. We had ADA, XRP, HBAR, and XLM. Let's see, ADA. Let's get HBAR on that list. We'll take a look at XLM as well, and we'll save some requests for anyone else that wants something looked at for the morning. Any other alt requests, go ahead, throw them in the chat. Any other TA requests at all. Doesn't have to be an altcoin, can be just about anything you want me to take a look at. Let's hop over to ADA first and see what we're looking at there. We did get quite low here on ADA. I did talk about wanting to see us get back to that platinum pocket if we broke below 57 cents, and that's some of what we did quite recently. Let's get that scrolled on out so you can get that better look there. And as you can see, on Saturday we got that nice move back towards that platinum pocket, and we're waiting on that break back above 57 cents. We did get that nice push off of 51 cents, which was that area we had marked out, and we're waiting for that that to really find its strength above 57 cents again. We are looking a little bit like we might come back down towards the platinum pocket and try to sweep any of the liquidity that would be residing below about 54 cents there, where you saw all of this start to get that nice momentum back up. We do see us finding some resistance at some of these moving averages, and we're waiting on that MACD to really cool off again, and that prime oscillator as well. Volume is starting to head back down. Not too unexpected after we failed to really hold this 57 cent point on ADA. We are seeing a new sideways zone be established here. Let's zoom this on in, take a look at the hourly, and see what the day might be bringing our way. As you can see here, MACD still sitting under that indicator line, and we're not getting any sideways momentum just yet. You do have some divergences that have stacked up here on the hourly, waiting on the prime oscillator to get that cool off as well, continuing to make some higher lows, but really waiting on that sweep of bottom side liquidity the same way that we are on Bitcoin. Let's take a look at that 15-minute and the morning, what the morning might be bringing our way. You have that MACD line sitting above our indicator line here, looking like it's getting a little bit of some curvature here as volume is just starting to increase, but it's looking like an increase of selling pressure. So waiting on that very, very strong cool off here on the 15-minute for ADA as well. That 15-minute on Bitcoin was extremely cooled off and was staying down here at the bottom. I would wait on at least one more reversal signal to flash here on the prime oscillator with some green money flow coming in before I have some conviction on some upside targets for ADA. You do have that resistance coming in at about 57 cents. So that's an area to kind of watch for as we get that pushback up. Let's see, we had H bar requested as well. Let's take a look at some H bar down here. Extremely battered down. I talked about H bar last year, and it's been quite a while since I've taken a look at it since. Yeah, there we go. A lot of this TA from, I guess March. March was the last time we had looked at it. We're waiting for a break above to get back up towards the golden pocket, and we have really failed to do that. We have very strong resistance at 22 cents, and looking like this is turning into some resistance now. That's at 17-cent point, and our platinum pocket is not holding us up very nicely here. Let's get that one cleaned up. Let's get this moved over towards our current area here. Make it a little bit thicker so we know it's heavier resistance. Lock that, and then see what we're looking at here. You got that MACD getting some curvature all over again here on the 4-hour. You've got your second reversal, which has flashed now, and your prime oscillator heading back down as your volume is rolling over as well. So waiting to see if we can hold up that platinum pocket down here at about 14.3 and see if we can get that nice strong bounce. If not, look for that sweep of liquidity all the way back down here at about 12 and a half cents, where we saw all of this bouncing action. There's probably some liquidity sitting underneath these lows here. We do have a nice little area below that at about 12. Yep, that's at 12 and a half cent point, where you could see that very strong bouncing action. Let's get that horizontal ray drawn out from the lows there. That's our nice support area to kind of watch for H bar. That would also sweep that liquidity that's to the bottom side. Let's zoom this on in, take a look at the 1 hour and what the day might be bringing our way here. Daily looking this hourly looking quite similar to everything else we've looked at, with that MACD sitting below our indicator line, breaking that zero line towards the bottom side. You had some overbought signals flashing as we failed to really hold our platinum pocket here, seeing some resistance come in at about 15 and a half cents, making a lower high there, waiting to see if we make a lower low as well and see if we can get that stronger pushback down. We are looking for some lower prices on Bitcoin this morning as we continue to sweep some of that bottom side liquidity. So waiting to see if the rest of the alt market continues to get pushed down as well. Do we have any other alt requests? Because I did have XLM to take a look at, and then I guess we can take a look at some XRP as well. All right, let's zoom this one in, take a look at the 15-minute and what the morning might be bringing our way. Waiting for that sideways momentum here on the MACD to really play out with some positive money flow. You do have volume extremely low. You've got some divergences stacked up here as well. So we're waiting on that sweep to the downside before we really see that money flow coming back in. That might be that platinum pocket at 14.5 cents, where we see some of the strong moves back towards the upside here. So kind of an area to watch for to see if price gets supported. If not, look back down to those lower levels. Might take a little while to play out. So watch for that bottom side sweep first, and then see if we can find some support back down here at that key area. That's that platinum pocket and the midline of a big fair value gap as well on the 15-minute. It is closed, but you know, those old fair value gaps like to get some play on them over and over again. Let's take a look at XLM. We do have XLM making some higher highs, but made a lower low here. Waiting to see if it makes another lower low. Let's zoom this on out. Take a look at the 4 hour. Let's see what we're looking at. We did have this resistance area that did come in as resistance. We saw that wick off of the middle before we got that nice strong push towards the downside. Let's clean that up there. We got that nice strong rejection off of 31 cents and then dropped below the golden pocket here. Waiting to see if we get that move back down towards the platinum pocket, as that MACD is getting some sideways momentum here, and we've got a reversal signal to the downside which has flashed. So as your volume continues to come out and that selling pressure continues to increase, we are looking for a little bit lower on XLM, just like we are on everything else. Let's take a look at that 1 hour, see what the day might be bringing our way. XLM looking okay for a little bit of a push towards the upside this morning, as it does have that nice curvature back up here on our MACD and our prime oscillator here, waiting for that to come with some money flow. That volume is continuing to decrease, just waiting on that money flow to come back in. You do have a bit of resistance towards the upside at about 25 cents. Let's get that new horizontal drawn out there. About 25.17 is that area we'd kind of watch for. We are continuing to wrong button there. We are continuing to make some higher lows, but waiting on these higher highs to kind of bring that resistance in. You do have another little area towards the top side there at about 24.5 cents, where we'd see that next resistance for the short term come into play. We have that wick in action off of there. Let's make that a little bit thinner, so you know that's that shorter term time frame. This is that area to kind of get above for the short term time frame to see if we can get that push back up. If we do see this come in as some resistance, wait for that sweep of some bottom side liquidity. There's probably some sitting around 22 cents, and then some more sitting back down at about 21.5. So two little areas to kind of watch for the bottom side. If we get that rejection off of 24.443, let's zoom this on in. Take a look at the 15-minute and what the morning might be bringing our way here. Looking like it's getting some heating up on both that MACD and prime oscillator here, but not doing so with some strong moves towards the upside. So that does bode for a little bit of a push towards the downside as things do get heated up on the short-term time frame, but you're not doing so with very much volume or money flow that's positive. So looking for a little bit lower here to kind of sweep some of the liquidity towards the downside. As Jesse said, liquidity. All right, let's take a look at some XRP and then wind the show on down because it's almost time for that morning motivational video. Dang, XRP rejecting right off of that top side we had talked about last week, off of $2.32. Let's zoom this on in and then take a look at that higher term time frame. We did have that 1 hour getting that strong equal wick action off of $2.3265 before we really drop back down below the 382 here, waiting to see if we can hold up the fair value gap that XRP really loves all over again. As you can kind of see here, it does get those nice touches off the bottom side, gets those nice touches off the midline, and then shoots up after that. Never really comes back towards that top side of the fair value gap until it fails to hold the 382. It's done that over and over again here. So fails to hold that 382, comes all the way back down towards our fair value gap. And we're kind of waiting to see if we can hold up the top side of this fair value gap as we get back down here. You probably have some liquidity that's sitting at about 215 area. So that's an area to kind of watch for XRP. You do have that MACD line remaining below our indicator line. You've got some overbought signals that flashed as we got towards $2.32 and a reversal signal as well. And then really got that strong move down on the prime oscillator as well. Volume is slowing on down. True 7 has yet to clip out, so I'd wait for a little bit more downside movements before we really get that stronger bounce back up. Might see that move up to $2.24 before we really continue to cool down to about that $2.10, which is that midline of the fair value gap. Let's zoom this on in, take a look at the 15-minute and what the morning might be bringing our way here. Morning seeing a little bit of some sideways momentum on our MACD and our prime oscillator here, but your volume is extremely low, waiting on that money flow to really come back in. You've got your True 7 clipped out, True 7 clipped out, True 7 clipped out, reversal signal that is flashed, and a divergence as well, but not doing much for price action. Really waiting on some money flow. Let's see, Dutchy, your OnlyFans says, lol, I'm not going to say I told you so. Ripple dead. Well, I'm not a big fan of XRP, but, I apparently my TA is pretty spot on those top sides for XRP. Because we talked about that one last week because someone wanted that look at XRP and got that strong move up, got that strong move back down. And that's kind of what I've talked about over and over. XRP really likes this fair value gap. Not that I'm a fan of it, but those strong price actions off of the XRP army really make some money. So let's see if XRP can hold up this top side of the fair value gap, $2.18, get that strong move back up to $2.24, and then continue to cool things down. You do have those divergences that are stacked up, waiting for another few to kind of come into play before we get that stronger move back up. All right, it is 5:28 my time and almost time to head over to that morning motivational video. I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in this morning. Just so everyone knows, on Friday there will be no show. It is going to be 4th of July and I will be out of town. So getting some fireworks, having some fun on the lake, and will not be anywhere close to some electronics. So I'll be taking some time for me all over again, enjoying some time with the family. I hope everyone has some fun on the 4th of July at the end of the week. The markets will be closed, so make sure to touch some grass. We've got that morning market report at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Great place to hear that breakdown of this morning's data. We've got Trading with OC at 8 p.m. I believe today is the last show of that. So if you haven't, go ahead, tune in for that last one, and then go watch the rest of the videos before they go private. We've got Markets After Dark with Lunar Beaches Crypto at 11 p.m. Eastern Time as well. Great place to learn some TA and great place to have some fun. I will see y'all at the next one and in the morning motivational video here in just a second. Make sure to wake up because today's going to be a good day.